cold today on the homestead. It's 38 right now, and it was probably a little bit colder last night. So kind of let everyone sleep in a little bit. But now that it's kind of warmed up, I guess we'll get the pig feed out. These first cold days in the fall really remind me that winter's coming.
I know this is hard for you, but winter is coming. We know what's coming with it.
And on the homestead, that means two things. It's a time of great abundance, but it's also a time of not really much going on once you settle into winter. You can see I carried this piece of PVC pipe in there with me. It's not super heavy duty or heavy or anything, and it's not going to hurt the pigs, but they're all getting pretty big and they can push me around pretty easily. We're about a month out from processing these guys, and because of their size, it's easy for them to push me around. So I like to bring this piece of pipe in. It's not going to hurt them. I'm not whacking them with it, but I am using it to kind of guide them and, you know, keep them away from my legs. You know, they're not necessarily going after me, but they might nip or try to nibble or see if I have something, you know, in my pants pockets or something like that. Time to get out. It's important to remember and at least keep in mind that as much as I like the pigs and all the work that they do here on the farm, you can actually see they're working on a stump behind me there. I just put corn down at the base of it. As great as they are and as much as we like having them around, they're still pigs and they can still be dangerous. When they get up to full butcher weight, they're as big or bigger than me, and I'm a pretty big guy. So whenever I go in the pig pen, I try to have at least some form of defense or perceived power, you know, over them. Like, let them know, hey, I'm the boss. You know, you guys are the pigs. I'm the farmer. I'm the one in charge here. You know, you do have to remember up here that in your own head, you're not in control and you don't want to put yourself in situations that you wouldn't be able to get out of. But you need to at least kind of let the pigs know and make them think, hey, he's the farmer, he's the boss. I'm not going to give them a hard time or bite them or do anything like that. Some of you may remember the chipmunk problem we were having earlier this year. If you weren't around then, I'll link that video up in the corner. You can go check it out. But earlier this season, we were having a major issue with chipmunks here on our farm. They were eating strawberries in the garden. They were eating our crops as fast as we could get to them. Cucumbers, squash, virtually everything that we had here in the garden had bites taken out of it. And I had decided that I was going to fight back. I built a chipmunk trap that you can see me building in the video that I just had linked up in the corner. And I got a lot of feedback from people that had tried it and said that it worked for them. So I wanted to do a quick recap on how it worked for us. Within the first 24 hours that I had that trap up, we had caught, I think, 2 chipmunks and 2 mice. I had 2 traps set up, one in the garden and then one on the side of the house where I saw some dens being made and kind of burrowed into the ground. And that was a super promising start. I knew that if I could get them right off the bat and kind of catch them by surprise, it was going to be a good turnout for us. And we kept catching chipmunks there. It was really, they performed way better than I had expected they were going to do. We were catching, 2-3 chipmunks a day sometimes. I think my totals for this season were up around, I think, like 14 or 15 chipmunks and probably 10 mice, just in the garden alone. That wasn't even counting the one by the side of the house, which wasn't as productive. It didn't catch as many, but it did catch some. So you might be saying, well, if you were catching that many a day, how come your totals weren't higher for the year? And the reason why is because I actually took them down. And I took them down for 2 reasons. One, the garden wasn't getting hammered as much, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't totally depleting the chipmunk population. They do a lot of good. They spread a lot of seeds. There's a lot of stuff that chipmunks do that you want them doing. It's not like a complete eradication campaign. That's not what we were going for. But the other reason why I took those traps down and stopped using them is over here with our fence. The bait that we used in those chipmunk traps was black oil sunflower seeds. And chipmunks, squirrels, mice, there isn't a rodent on the planet that doesn't really like black oil sunflower seeds. It's probably the best bait you can use. The problem is that black bears also like black oil sunflower seeds. We woke up one morning to this fence, the section that you're looking at here, completely torn down. This had been ripped way out that way. The top of the fence all the way around had been very noticeably pawed at and tried to claw it into. It was trying to be pulled away from these posts. We surmised that a bear actually got into the yard. And we got lucky that night. It didn't eat anything in the garden, even though there was a lot of stuff. It could have eaten squash, it could have eaten beets, could have eaten Swiss chard. Bears will virtually eat anything. But the bigger problem was it could have gotten into the chickens. Those black oil sunflower seeds drew bears to the area. And that's not what we were looking to do with the whole catching chipmunks thing. And, a chipmunk eating your squash is one thing, but a black bear killing chickens or ducks is an entirely another problem. So as much of an issue as the chipmunks were, we decided to pull the plug on the traps because if they were drawing in bears, that's not what we wanted. That's not to say we've completely given up on the traps though. It's fall, as I mentioned earlier, with the temperatures dropping. And in New England, during fall, we have an issue with mice. They will get into, look at my beard, it was all wonky there, huh? I want to look nice for you guys. So if my beard's going crazy, tell me about it. So if you live in New England, mice are a problem in the fall. They'll get into any area they can in your house or garage or virtually any warm place that they can get into that may have food. So since they're so easy to make, I've already got the materials set up. I'm gonna make another one right now and we're gonna put it in the garage and hopefully curb our mouse problem a little bit heading into fall. Again, part of the reason these are so great is that they're just so easy to make. This is literally a bucket. It's not a 5-gallon bucket even. This is, I don't know, it's a kitty litter bucket. And you just fill it like just over halfway with water. And that's really all you have to do. The biggest reason why I love using these traps is that they catch even after they've caught. A typical mouse trap, especially the spring-loaded ones, if they catch a mouse, they're done. And that's the problem. You have to come out, you have to clean out the mouse and reset it and move on. Poison, if you have dogs or you have kids, you just don't want to use it. Modern poisons, the secondary poisoning of hawks and wildlife, not so much an issue anymore, but I just don't like having it around with kids and dogs. You've got multiple catch traps, which essentially have trap doors, but then you've still got live mice in those traps that you have to go take care of. With this, it catches a mouse, it can kill the mouse. and it's still usable. It's still going to catch mice after it catches that first, second, third. There are people that have caught up to 12 mice a night in these things in highly infested areas. So that's why I like using the bucket traps. So I've got my bucket. All I'm going to do is take my board with a couple of screws put through the end of it. And I'm just going to take that. I'm going to lay it down on the bucket just like so. So there's your full setup right there. You've got your ramp here. You got your screws holding it to the lip of the bucket. And then you've got your bucket itself right there, about 2/3 of the way filled with water. Super simple setup. All right, so we've got our bait right here. Black oil sunflower seeds. I stole these from Jackie's bird feeder stash that she has in the closet in the front of the house. So again, you can use whatever you want. Some people like peanuts, some people like black oil sunflower seeds, some people like just regular bird seed. I like the black oil sunflower seed because it floats really well and it tends to last a little bit longer than some of the other stuff. That's all you need right there, just enough to cover the top and make it look like it's a solid surface that the squirrel or chipmunk is going to be jumping into. And then I like to take just a little. I don't know how well they'll stay on this pitch, but I like to put just a few up top as bait to lure them in. There's one more thing I've got to take care of today that is a pressing issue. Earlier this morning, Jackie was looking out the window and we had a visitor.
Look at this thing. Oh my God. That is so cool. Wow.
Dia de los Muertos is the one night of the year our ancestors can come visit us.
Beautiful.
Focus on the ofrenda so their spirits can cross over. That is very
If you can't tell from the video, that's a bobcat, and they like eating chickens and they like eating ducks. And if you look at our backyard, you can see we've got chickens and ducks. And right now we've got them in Premier One poultry netting that is not electrified at all. It's disconnected from over there. And the reason why was the other day when it was raining super heavily, I came out and I noticed the pig fence wasn't hitting very hard. It wasn't shocking. So I disconnected the chicken fence. I tested the pig fence and it was working fine. So that means this chicken fence was shorting out somewhere. So I disconnected it. And I just kind of didn't reconnect it. I've just kind of taken our chances on predators, and luckily, fingers crossed, you know, knock on wood, we didn't have any, nothing came through. But with that bobcat in the neighborhood this morning, it's time to get this thing hooked back up and make sure it's not shorting out to the ground anywhere. We'll also try to get that pekin in behind me that's flown the coop. They've actually gotten really good at ducking their way out from under the electric, and I think it's partly because we don't have it turned on. Let's see if that works. I just walked around the whole thing basically and shook it up. There was a lot of leaf litter on it, which if it's wet can short out. So, all right, moment of truth. I can hear the charger clicking over there. So, it's gonna probe in the ground. If I can find a. There we go. And we're hitting about 5,000 volts right now, which is good. It's way better than it was. I mean, it was barely touching 600 volts when I tested it last and disconnected this whole thing. So I would say I would say whatever was causing it to short out before, either I just shook up or it was just that the ground was super wet and there were a bunch of wet leaves on it. So, cool. That's going to be it for today. I've actually got to run inside and get changed. I'm about to be late for work. Thanks for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already. And as always, have a great day. Bye.